Margam has fallen asleep in Our Lady's arms, forgetting all of a sudden that he was a man. Peter is dozing, and is not the only one. Also, the whispering elderly women are half asleep and are silent. Jesus, Mary, Lazarus' sisters, Syntyche, Simon Zealot, John and Judas are well awake. Just to note that the Judas that's mentioned there is not Judas Iscariot, but Judas of Alphaeus. Syntyche is searching John of Endor's bag, looking for something. But she prefers to come close to the others and listen to Judas of Alphaeus, who is speaking of the consequences of the exile in Babylon, and concludes, "And perhaps that man is still a consequence of that. Every exile is a ruin." Syntyche nods unintentionally, but does not say anything, and Judas of Alphaeus concludes, "However, it is strange that one can so easily divest oneself of what has been a treasure for centuries, to become entirely new, particularly in matters of religion, and a religion like ours." Jesus replies, "You must not be surprised if you see Samaria in the lap of Israel." There is silence. Syntyche's dark eyes are staring at Jesus' serene profile. She looks at him intensely, but does not speak. Jesus perceives her glance and turns round to look at her. "Have you not found anything to your liking?" "No, my Lord. I've got to the point that I'm no longer able to reconcile the past with the present, former ideas with present ones. And I feel as if it were a defection, because my former ideas have helped me to have the present ones. Your apostle spoke the truth, but my ruin is a happy one." "What is your ruin?" "All my faith in heathen Olympus, my Lord. But I'm somewhat upset, because on reading your scriptures, John gave me them, and I read them because there is no possession without knowledge. I found out that also in your history, of the beginning, shall I say, there are events which do not differ much from ours. Now I would like to know." "I've already told you. Ask me, and I will answer your questions." "Is everything wrong in the religion of the gods?" "Yes, woman. There is but one God, who does not originate from anybody else, and is not subject to human passions and needs. One only, eternal, perfect God, the creator of everything." Jesus is quite emphatic there, and leaves no room for doubt. I've already mentioned Pope Francis. Although he's no longer with us, his words are, although not all his words, in the way that not all the words of any pope are magisterial teaching. And I mentioned that the Pope said back in September 2024, Friday the 13th of September it was, if I remember rightly, that all religions are paths to God. And it was clear in the context, he meant they are legitimate paths to God, not accidental paths to God, but in themselves valid paths to God. But it was given on a foreign trip. It's not magisterial, but it gave a disturbing insight into his perspective on faith. But before I continue with Jesus' own words, I'll quote the words of St. Paul from sacred scripture. His letters to the Romans, the first chapter. Say, for example, from verse 18. "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and wickedness of men, who by their wickedness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. ever since the creation of the world, his invisible nature, namely his eternal power and deity, has been clearly perceived in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. For although they knew God, they did not honour him as God, or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their senseless minds were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man, or birds, or animals, or reptiles. Those images resembling mortal man will be, for example, the gods of Olympus or the gods of Rome. Those which are a combination of man and beast will be, say, the gods of the Egyptians or the gods of today's Hindus. All are false gods. None are ways to God. All are impediments to God, that they may transmit some truth is a result of their origin. But Jesus talks about that, so I'll let him speak now.